Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Realm Alternus. Today, we're here to have some more Nocturne by Night Kickstarter fun. We're going to be doing some character creation today, which I'm super excited about. I am joined by Bill Keys. So for people who may not know who you are and what you do, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. My name is Bill Keys, and I am the creator and writer of Blood and Justice, which is a superhero setting for the Prowlers and Paragons game. Blood and Justice is a sort of my love letter to the comic books of the 90s, a little bit grimmer, grittier, darker superhero fare than what you usually see. So, and we're kickstarting Nocturne by Night, as Elizabeth just said, which is a book of villains suitable for any campaign, but built specifically for Nocturne by Night, for Blood and Justice.
That's a lot of fun. I'm excited at the opportunity to maybe play a villain instead of a hero. That sounds like it would be a lot of fun. As Bill said, I'm Elizabeth. Sorry, I forgot that little piece of information. At REM, I do a lot of the video editing that you see when you go to YouTube. I've done the editing for all of that. But today we're here to talk about their Kickstarter. It is live until Tuesday at noon Eastern. You can go to mobiusworldspublishing.com/kick. And you can also find more information about the game itself and the Kickstarter at facebook.com/mobiusworldspublishing. Both of those links will be popping up in the Twitch chat here in just a minute. So you still have some time to go and back Nocturne by Night. It's going to be a lot of fun. But today we're going to go ahead and get into our character creation process, which Bill has been so kind to agree to take me through.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Character creation, I think you'll find is very simple. It goes really quickly, but you can also create characters that have a great deal of depth to them. So let's get started by, we'll start with the most basic kind of concept here. Elizabeth, what kind of character do you want to play? Do you have something in mind?
I like the idea of playing somebody who can maybe control or create fire.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like it would be a lot of fun.
Okay, great. Well, most characters in the Blood and Justice universe are built on 100 points. For this character creation, we use points to determine how powerful you are. 100 points is basically a sort of a low-powered superhero. Somebody along the lines of like Jessica Jones or Daredevil would be along those points. Okay. So if you can take a look at the character sheet that should be up on your screen, mm-hmm. You'll see at the top you've got your name, alias, team, and motivation. Below that you have abilities. Each one of your abilities is rated in a number of dice. The dice range for a normal human. It ranges from 1 die to 6 die. 6 being like an Olympic athlete or a brilliant scientific genius. And 2 or 3 being about average for normal people. Below that, we have talents. You can't see all of them yet on the screen, but we'll roll down to those. Talents are basically like your skills. They're very broad. So like covert, for instance, covers all sorts of things ranging from being sneaky to picking pockets to picking locks. So they're very broad in design, so you don't have to get too much detail in them.
Okay.
And then after we do all that, we'll look at powers and then perks, and eventually we'll get to flaws. And at that point, you'll pretty much have a awesome superhero character.
Oh, fun.
So do you have a name in mind for your character?
Yes, her name is Riley Quinn.
And does she have a superhero alias?
Her alias is Phoenix.
Is that right? Is it EO or OE? I can never remember.
Hold on, I have to write it. Right. I think it's, yeah, that's right.
I think That looks correct to me, so we'll go with that for now.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. Now, for your abilities, as I said, 2 or 3 is about average for a normal person.
Okay.
6 is the maximum that a normal person has, and then if you go above 6, you're starting to get into the superhuman levels. This particular game has a limit of 10 dice. You can't go above 10 dice. The other thing to point out is that there's sort of a cost break that gives you some free points. It essentially lets you buy your abilities and your talents with a slight discount. So you can buy what they call the civilian package, which gives you all of your abilities and all of your talents a starting number of two dice. There's the hero package, which gives you all of your abilities at 3 dice and all of your talents at 2 dice. And then there's the superhero package, which gives you 3 dice in both your abilities and your talents. I usually recommend for this to buy the hero package. Gives you 3 dice in all of your abilities and 2 dice in all of your talents. Okay, and it costs 40 points. And I can't remember what it saves. It saves like 2 or 3 points from the end.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to be keeping track of points on a different screen.
Okay.
So
I'll try to remember to keep track too.
Yep. So we'll buy the hero package, which costs 40 points. Okay. And that gives you 2 dice in all of your talents and 3 dice in all of your abilities just to start with.
Okay.
And if you want anything higher, you can buy it up higher. So how agile do you think Riley Quinn, the Phoenix, is? More so than human, or more so than average, more so than human?
I would say at least more so than human. So I would say probably 3 dice sounds about right for agility.
3 dice to start? Yep, sure. Mm-hmm. And what about their intellect? That's your smart.
I would say she's probably pretty smart. So maybe 4.
Okay, sure. And might, that's your physical strength, of course.
I would say probably a 3 again.
Okay, sure. And how perceptive is she? How good is she at spotting stuff, hearing things?
I would say probably maybe a 4 or a 5.
Okay, let's start with 5.
Okay.
We can always adjust these numbers, of course, later. And toughness. How good is she at taking damage? This is sort of helps determine your hit points, among other things.
Let's start with 3 and see where we end up point-wise later.
Sure. And how about the willpower?
That's probably at least a 4. Maybe a 5. Yeah. Let's say 4 for now. Yeah, let's say 4 for now.
Okay. All right. I'm going to roll down the page a little bit so we can see all the talents. And again, we're starting with, and before we do that, let's add these up. So you start with a 3 and everything. So we've spent 1 here, 2 more here for 3, and 1 more here. So we've spent 4 points total on our abilities. So we'll roll down to talents. And we have academics. Academics is essentially how good you are at school type things, math, just basic math, geography, things like that.
She's probably a little book smart, so maybe a 3, 4.
Okay.
Somewhere around
3,
there.
4. Yeah. Let's start with a 3. Charm. How charming is she?
I like to think she's pretty charming, so we'll say maybe 5.
5. She's very charming, in fact.
She is very charming.
All right. Well, how about command? Command is your ability to sort of get people to do things for you using your grown-up voice rather than trying to talk them into it by being nice.
I'm sure she thinks she's pretty commanding, but she probably does not come off that way to everybody else. So I'd probably stick with maybe a 3.
3. All right. And then we have covert. This is, again, this is sneakiness, but also can be used to do things like pick locks or pickpockets or do anything kind of stealthy like that.
Let's go with 4.
All right. Investigation. This is basic detective work stuff.
Let's do a 5 for this one.
5. So she is a good detective. Medicine?
Probably let's do 3.
3. All right. And professional. This is essentially the sort of stuff that you would do on the job. For instance, if you were a lawyer, for instance, you might want to have a fairly high professional in order to get by to do law stuff.
Let's do another 3 for that.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's do a 3 for that one.
3 for that one. Okay. How about science?
Let's do 3 for that one as well.
All right, sure. And streetwise is talking to people, chatting, finding out information on the streets, knowing who to talk to, knowing where to go.
Well, since she's pretty charming, I imagine she's good at talking to people. So I would say 4.
Let's say 4. All right. Survival is pretty much your wilderness survival type things. Can she find water? Can she find food? Can she find shelter in the wilderness?
She's more of a city girl, so I'm going to stick with a 2 on this one.
On this one, all right. Technology, how good is she with machines?
Let's give her a 4 for technology.
4. So she's actually really good with machines. And vehicles, this is your ability to drive or fly or pilot a boat, for instance.
Let's do a 3 for vehicles.
Okay. Now, one thing I have noticed, hang on, is that most of your skills here are at least a 3, everything except survival. So we might upgrade you to the superhero package, which gives you a 3 base in all of this.
Okay.
And would actually save you, we'll change survival up to 3. And then it will save you a couple of points in the long run. So if everything's starting at 3, then charm would give us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we will have spent 7 points on talents.
And how much was the superhero point or package worth?
Superhero package is 50 points.
50 points, okay.
So by my math, we've spent 61 of your points in total so far.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
So now we get to the really fun part. I think the really fun part is the superhero powers. And you wanted to create somebody who controls fire, right?
Yes.
So there are a couple of ways that we can do this, depending on what direction you want to go. We could, for instance, take a power called Form, which basically lets you change your entire body into, for instance, in this case, it would be fire. Or if you don't want to go in that route, and that gives you some powers as well. That gives you some stuff that you can do that's special. If you don't want to go in that route, we can certainly buy each power individually. Like if you want to blast somebody with flames, then we can buy a blast. If you want to be able to fly, like the Human Torch, then we'll buy flight, and so on.
I kind of like the idea of just turning into lighting my entire self on fire. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, sure. So there's a power called Energy Form, in which case you turn into one type of energy, and you get essentially 3 different powers to go with that. You get a power called Aura, which essentially, if anybody tries to touch you, they'll burn themselves. You also get Flight, which is nice. And you also become intangible. Objects and things pass through you because you're living flame.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like fun.
Okay. All right. So let's put it up here. So energy form fire, and then we have to determine how many dice we want in this power.
Okay.
It costs 3 points per rank of power. So, for instance, if you say 6 dice, then that would cost 3 times 6, so it would cost 18 points total.
Okay.
If this is going to be your main power, I would advise getting it all the way up to like an 8 or a 9. That would be pretty powerful.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Start with 8 dice on that. And let's see, fire. 8 times 3 is 24. So, and that gives you aura at 8 dice and flight at 8 dice as well. So,
fun.
Basically come for free with the power. So we'll write those down. All right. Would you like to have some sort of attack power, a blast or something like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's always great. Right now, your main attack would be to grab somebody, but let us give you a blast. We'll say fire, and we'll call that 8 dice as well. And that will cost, that's 1 point per die, so that will cost 8 points.
So if my math is correct, I have 29 points left still.
Let's see, you spent 74, 78, 85.
Maybe.
Plus 8 more. It looks to me like you've spent about 93 points so far. You spent 50 on the hero package.
Wrong.
Yeah, 50 on the hero package, 4 on abilities, 7 on talents. So that's 61. Energy form gave us 24 more, so that would be 85. And then blast is 8 points, so that kicks us up to 93. So you've got about 7 more points to spend.
I was cheating. I was subtracting instead of adding. Sorry.
Luckily, there's another superheroes game called Champions, which I've played a lot and I love very much. But the character creation has a lot more math. So
no, that is not for me.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool stuff, I think. But if you're happy with the powers that we have right now, I might actually advise you to get one more power, and that is called evasion, and that will basically let you dodge anything that you can't, that your aura doesn't deflect away from you, or that your intangibility doesn't let you avoid. You can use your evasion power.
That's probably a good idea.
And the nice thing about evasion is it starts, it's based off your agility, so it starts at 3 dice. And each additional point of evasion, actually every 2 points of evasion costs 1, so it's a inexpensive power. So if we bought that up to, say, 7 dice, that would only cost us 2 points.
Yeah, let's do that.
And now, unless you have anything else in mind, I should think about looking at perks. Which
I think this looks great so far.
Do you think it looks pretty good so far? I agree. I think that she's a pretty decent character to start with lots of room to grow later as well. So looking at the perks, there's a handful of cool things. We have authority, which basically gives you more authority or rights than most people have. Like, for instance, a police officer has the right to arrest people and detain them. So authority is one. Contacts is people that you know and will help you out on occasion. Fame, if you're famous. Fourth wall, if you want to play a character like Deadpool or She-Hulk, where you kind of talk to the camera and you're aware, sort of more self-aware than most people. Headquarters, if you have an HQ. Infamy, if you're feared among the criminal underworld. A patron, somebody who sort of supports your war on crime. A pet or a sidekick. A good reputation. A unique vehicle, or wealth. Do any of those sound like something you'd like to have?
She would probably have a good reputation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I always like to define what the reputation is. So, what is her reputation as? A great hero, or a...
Yes. She is known for going out of her way to help people that she comes across.
Okay. So, reputation as like a good Samaritan.
Yeah.
Great. It's always very useful. And reputation costs 3 points. So, I believe we still have 2 points to spend. Trying to think of what else. You could always buy up one or more of your abilities or your talents.
Let's.
Since she is made of fire, you might think about something like thermal vision, where she can see heat patterns, like infrared.
Yeah, let's do that if I have enough points for it.
That costs 2 points, and that would get us to 100 exactly. Oops. Vision. There we go. Awesome. So that is, if all my math here is correct, that is 100 points.
Perfect.
Yeah. So next thing that we want to look at is flaws. So every superhero has something that trips them up in some way. And in Prowlers and Paragons, you usually buy 3 flaws for your character. You can always buy more, but 3 is the recommended limit. And they can be everything from, something fairly simple like being colorblind, to having an arch enemy, to being wanted by the police, to, I don't know, maybe since she's made of fire, maybe she's vulnerable to water or ice or something like that. So do you have any thoughts?
I do. So I like the idea that she is maybe vulnerable to ice.
Mm-hmm.
And I also saw that clumsy is one of them, and I think it would be kind of fun if she was clumsy.
Okay, absolutely. So we start with clumsy. Okay. Now some of the disadvantages, some of the flaws, they give you a free resolve, which we'll talk about in a minute, but they give you a free resolve at the beginning of every session. Others give you a resolve every time it comes up in play. So clumsy is one of those things that whenever it comes up in play, if you're holding the MacGuffin and you drop it, then you'll get a resolve for that. Vulnerability gives you an extra point of resolve at the beginning of every session. So basically it gives you a free point of resolve.
Okay.
Any, I don't know, I don't want to say personality defects, but like maybe if she's afraid of spiders, or
I was actually just getting ready to say that.
Yeah.
She doesn't like insects, but she's especially afraid of spiders.
Okay. So we will give her in this case, this is going to be a quirk. Spiders. And I believe that is something that comes up only sometimes in the game. Yep, you earn a point of resolve whenever your quirk comes up. So, the next thing we do is we determine your edge. Your edge is essentially like your initiative. It lets you know how fast you are in combat and when you go in combat. Okay. Edge is determined by your perception plus either your agility or your intellect, whichever is better. So you have a 5 perception and a 4 intellect. So your edge would be 9. Your health is determined by the average of your toughness and might or your toughness and willpower, whichever is better. So your toughness is 3, your willpower is 4. So your health would end up being the average of those, which is 3.5, but we round in your favor, so use 4.
Awesome.
Your resolve is determined by essentially this is kind of a cool mechanic in the game that essentially lets you play say Hawkeye and Thor in the same team, right? Hawkeye, he's a great archer and a good fighter, and he's got some skills, but he's really not on Thor's level as far as power is. So the game balances that out by letting Hawkeye have more resolve because he's probably not built on as many points as Thor is.
Okay.
So since I said at the beginning of this session that you're being built on 100 points with a 10 dice cap, and you don't have anything that's 10 dice or higher, or 10 dice. So for every point your highest ability is below 10, you get 2 points of resolve. So you get, your highest power is 8. So you get 4 resolve for that, and 1 extra for having a vulnerability. So you start with 5 resolve, which is actually pretty good.
Nice.
And 100 points. And this basically gives you a playable character. We're mostly done here, but one other thing that we like to do is we finished this in just about 30 minutes, a little bit less than 30 minutes. So that's how quick and easy it is to make a character in this.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And one thing that we like to do, as I said, is details here. You get, essentially, you can give 3 details to the game master. One of them is about your character. One of them is about the world, the campaign that you're playing in. And one of them is about another one of the player characters in your group. So, for instance, a fact about your character could be she is, I don't know, studying to be an astrophysicist at such and such university.
Okay.
And a detail about the world could be that, gosh, I don't know, the neighborhood that she comes from is maybe some detail about the neighborhood, like it was used as a army. It was built over an army training ground that was active during the 1940s, during World War I or World War II, and so sometimes people find tunnels or unexploded munitions or something under her neighborhood. That could be an interesting detail for the game master. So yeah, since we're just doing this for an example, we don't have to come up with all 3, but maybe we can come up with one just to fill her out. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, so a detail about her is she, in her spare time, she actually does musical theater.
Okay.
For the world, I don't know about the world, but as far as knowing something about somebody else in the campaign, and Ava is gonna send me a message about this. Zara is not nearly as grumpy as she puts it out there to be.
Okay, what's the other character's name?
Zara, Zara. And I'm saying that because I'm determined that my character is going to be friends with Ava's character. So she is not nearly as grumpy as she seems.
All right, she's not as grumpy as she wants everyone else to think. Perfect. So, and you can always come up with the third one later. Okay. Sometimes they come up organically in play, for instance, in the first couple sessions, which is always fun. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at your connections. Connections are, again, it's a way to ground yourself in the campaign world. So it's people that you know, people, generally people that you like, but they could also be, people who annoy you or who are foils. Peter Parker has Flash Thompson as one of his contacts, but they're definitely not friends, for instance. So it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a coworker, a teacher, a boss, anything like that.
I would say probably one of her teachers from school. Just trying to think of a name off the top of my head. Mrs. Tyndall, who she can go to help for research when she needs to find information about maybe history of the city or the history of landmarks or something like that.
There we go. A teacher who helps with research and an expert on the city. Okay. And again, usually we come up with 3 of these, but we don't have to come up with all 3 for this particular session, just kind of as an example. This is what we're looking at. And I think, at this point, you would come up with the origin of Phoenix. You might come up with an interesting quote, something that she likes to say in the middle of battle or after a battle's over, for instance, description. Gear, if you're on a Blood and Justice campaign, then we have what's called the standard loadout, which is stuff that most every character would reasonably be expected to have on their person.
Okay.
But again, it kind of depends on what sort of campaign you're in. Some campaigns, for instance, Captain America really doesn't carry anything but his shield for the most part. Superman doesn't really carry anything.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Batman has a whole list of equipment that he's got. But that's your character. That's all it took. We built that whole thing in, like I said, about 30 minutes.
Yeah, that was really easy.
Yeah, super simple, super quick. And you've got a really cool character.
Yeah, I'm excited to play her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? One thing we almost forgot is your motivation.
Okay.
Not everybody who has powers wants to be a superhero. So what is it that drives her to be a superhero? And we have a bunch of examples in the book, and I'll read some of them off to you. The lust for adventure, altruism. It's part of her career. It's her job. She has devotion to a person. She believes she's an idealist. She is seeking knowledge. She's seeking redemption. Like she may have done something bad in the past, and now she's trying to make up for it. Trouble always follows her no matter where she goes, so she might as well embrace it. Or straight up virtue, like she's just a really honest, good person.
That would definitely be Riley. She just genuinely wants to help people.
Awesome. So virtue is a great motivation. I love it. And at that point, boom, that's your hero. That's your character. You fill in her origin and a couple more details, and boom, you're done. What do you think?
I can't believe how just simple that was to just come up with on the fly like that. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy doing it. But character building is, especially in a superhero game where you can basically do anything you want. You could be a wizard, you could be someone from Atlantis, you could be an alien. But making it simple, building a good character that doesn't take a ton of time and energy to make. I really love that about the system.
Yeah, and you have so many different options that you can pick from too. You can really just
Mhm.
build the superhero you want to play in 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I think I will put this character up on our Mobius Worlds Facebook page,
Okay.
and I will so everybody can take a look at her. And yeah, and then we're good. We're done.
Yes, I will play this character on Monday. We are going to be doing Monday afternoon. We're going to be doing a live stream actual play, and I will be playing Riley for that. It will be on twitch.tv/Master of Rem, 2:00 Central, I believe. So 3:00 Eastern on Monday. The 31st, I think, the 31st of the last full day of Kickstarter. We will be here at Master of Rem's Twitch for actual play. So you can all come by then and watch an actual game being played. And I will be playing this character that we just made in 30 minutes. And just don't forget, the Kickstarter is still live. It is mobiusworldspublishing.com/kick. It is live until Tuesday around noon. So please go check it out. Back it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Nocturne by Night. You can do villains. Did I forget to add anything about it? Oh, and you can also get the bundle of all 3 books too. So you have the Prowlers and Paragons cool rulebook, the Nocturne by Night, and I'm missing the third one, and I'm
You'll get
spacing.
Welcome to Nocturne, Blood and Justice,
Yes.
Welcome to Nocturne, and then Nocturne by Night.
Yes, those are the 3 books you can get in the bundle. So yeah, definitely go check it out. The links will be in the Twitch chat, but it is also, once more, mobiusworldspublishing.com/kick. You can also go to their Facebook page to get more information about the game itself, the Kickstarter. You'll be able to check this character sheet out in a little while, and that is facebook.com/Mobius Worlds Publishing. And again, the links will be in the Twitch chat. I think that's it. So thank you so much, Bill. It was wonderful to meet you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to go through this with me and show me how easy it is to make this character.
My pleasure, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming up with a cool concept, and thanks for making it up with me.
Of course. Thank you so much. And with that, we will say goodbye for now. But remember to come back on Monday, 3:00 Eastern, 2:00 Central, twitch.tv/Master of Rem for Paragons and Prowlers actual play for the last day of the Kickstarter.